Hi everyone, today we're going to be creating the star ranking system in Notion, where you can give each thing a score and Notion will give you a visual depending on the score that you give. This is great for things like recipes or doing book reviews or even film reviews or anything that you need to give a rating to. It's super easy to do and can be done in under 10 minutes. So if you're interested, please keep watching. Okay, so to get started, we're just going to create a simple database in Notion. So we can do / data and then create a new database. I'm going to call this star ranking database just for the sake of this tutorial. And as an example, we're going to use we can do movies, for example. So if I put movie as the name, I'll put a simple movie here. And let's put a movie as an example, just to expand this. So the next thing you want to do is just add a property, and this is going to be the score. So I want this to be a select property, and we'll call it the score. And this is going to be an option from 0 to 5, which will give you a score for that movie. And when we have our star ranking system, we want that to reflect this score. So I've entered 0 here, but if you want to add more, click on the property, go to edit property, and then you here have your options. You can just then add all the options like this. And what I'm going to actually do is change the color of these to be the default gray, just so that they're a bit more consistent, like this. And then we have a score system. So what you can do is easily rate the film that you watched. 0, would be no stars, and then yeah, you have the others here. So now that we have a score system, what I want to have a visual of stars. So if I just paste these in, these are the star visuals that I want that are mapped to each of the scores. So 0 would be 0 filled in stars, 1 is 1, and you get the rest. So I now want Notion to show me this in a formula. So create a new property, and you want this to be a formula property. And I'm going to call this star visual. And this formula is basically going to show us this score. So if I copy this here, the way we need to write this formula is we want to say if score is 5, for example, I want to show this visual down here, and then the rest for all of these. So what we're going to use is if statements. So if you click on the formula, you can start writing. Now, I don't want it to just show the stars. I actually want it to say the word rating first, like this. So when you put things in speech marks in a Notion formula, it just returns a string or text. So as you can see, it just shows text like this. So I wanted to start with that, and then I want it to show the stars. So I'm going to add a range of if statements. I'm going to put these on a new line. I've added this add button because you're adding these strings together. So let's indent this to make it a bit cleaner and start the if statement. So if score, so do a bracket and then score is exactly equal to, and we're going to put the string as 0. Now, if you decided that you wanted the score to be a number property, you wouldn't include the speech marks. The only reason I have the speech marks here is because this is a string, so you need to match the types here. So if score equals 0, you add a comma. I want to return these stars. And then if this hasn't been specified, you then have to add an else. So else, do nothing, and then close off that bracket. So as you can see, it's showing nothing because it's currently set to 5, but if I set it to 0, it will then set it to my stars. So what I now need to do is go and do this for the rest of the numbers. So if I copy number 1, hop in here, we now want to add the rating for 1 here. So in between this little else bit, just add the space down here. I'm going to move this all the way to the bottom. And I'm going to add the next if statement here. I also think instead of it being blank, I might just write NA like this so that it shows that it's not applicable. So yeah, let's go back and add another if statement. So if score is exactly equal to 1, I would like to return this string. Add a comma, and now you need to add another bracket to the end because you've added another option. So let's just test it. So if I enter 0, it should show this, and if I enter 1, it should show 1 star. So this is working nicely. So I now just need to go in and do it for the other ones. Again, exactly the same statement, just if score is exactly equal to, and then 2, return this string, and then add another bracket at the end. And you can do this for as many as you like. So yeah, it's a pretty straightforward and simple equation to do, but it's quite nice. And you can also, if you wanted to, you could pick different stars. So if, for example, I wanted to use emojis maybe instead, I could possibly do that. So instead of it being this, I could maybe show it like this. So it will give you little stars for each of these. So it's really up to you with how you visualize it. I personally really like using this little method. I think it's really nice. So yeah, I'm just going to go and add the rest of those in now. Finished adding the rest of the formula here. You can see that I have an if statement for each of these. So if we test it out, we can see the star rating works great for all of these now. So I can show you what this looks like in practice. So if I go to my food hub here, you can see that I actually use this for my recipes. So I have different meals here that I like to give scores to, and I give a little number score to it, and then it gets a star rating right next to it. So it's really useful at a glance to visually see how well certain recipes are. You could even sort recipes out by the score, which is also really nice. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you found this useful and you're also interested in other productivity tips, please follow along.